Our CBS News campaign reporters have been covering this election for us for more than a year. Now it's coming to a close. Earlier, I spoke with Nicole Sganga and Bo Erickson, who have been covering the Biden and Trump campaigns. Well, first, I want to talk about how the campaigns are feeling ahead of polls closing tonight. Nicole, let's start with the Trump campaign. How are they feeling?
Well, senior advisors in the Trump campaign describe what they're feeling as a quiet confidence. Now, in 2016, they say they had a ton of enthusiasm. They knew it was out there, but no campaign structure or organization. This time around, they know that they have enthusiasm on the ground. We've seen it at the president's many rallies, but they also have a get out the vote campaign and a field team that is working into the hours tonight to turn out those voters in key battleground states like Pennsylvania and Florida. Now, there are still nerves among some GOP officials because the president is largely on defense, defending the states he won back in 2016. And the most obvious path to 270 electoral votes requires that the president defend states like Florida, North Carolina, Arizona, and Georgia, and pick up either Pennsylvania, Michigan, or Wisconsin. Now, that is a tall order for this campaign.
And Bo, what about the Biden campaign?
Talking to sources yesterday and into today, they all tell me that they are optimistic. It seems like they put in the work and that the results are happening both in early voting and today they're getting the numbers that they expected to and wanted to get. In the past couple of days, there's been some more hesitancy around Florida. Maybe it's looking like it's a little bit more competitive and maybe slanting towards President Trump, one person told me, but they're especially feeling confident in Michigan and Wisconsin. Joe Biden actually recently just spoke. He just arrived back into Delaware after campaigning in Scranton and Philadelphia, and he said he likes what he's seeing with women voters, young voters, African-American voters, and especially those older voters over 65. He says he is confident that we will see the blue wall, but he's waiting to see if that blue wall kind of goes south to Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona, that area as well.
All right. Well, I know you two have spent an inordinate amount of time covering the campaign trail. This is not at all the campaign trail that we envisioned when all of this started. But I do want to ask, starting with you, Nicole, what was a highlight of covering your candidate?
I think the biggest highlight for all of us, Elaine, is getting to meet the voters in some of these battleground states. And tonight, there's going to be a lot of discussion about electoral votes and the horse race and what the candidate did when and where was their campaign advertising that was spent. But at the end of the day, America decides who wins this election. And voters that have opened their homes prior to COVID-19 allowed us to talk to them, shared their concerns about this upcoming election with us. That has been a real highlight for me on the campaign trail.
What about you, Bo?
The highlight for me so far has just been basically the whole month of February. It went from the lowest to low from the Biden campaign. I'm talking to sources now, and they were saying you really did not know how negative we actually felt, even though it seemed pretty rocky those 18 days between New Hampshire and South Carolina. And when you saw Joe Biden get that endorsement from Whip Clyburn, he almost seemed shocked, and I will never forget his face there about how much confidence Whip Clyburn had in him. And then just a couple of days later, he finally got that first primary win, more than 30 years after he announced his first presidential campaign. I'm told now we're kind of bringing this all together. You talk about an atypical campaign style. There is some level of comfort here along the Biden campaign because we are here in Delaware, where this campaign and the Biden family feels very comfortable.
Well, I remember that night in South Carolina, the night of the primary, very quickly. Clearly, that was the last time red and blue was on the road. So Nicole Sganga and Bo Erickson, it has been a long time for you two, but we thank you so much for all your reporting and analysis.
Thank you, Elaine.